Okay, I've put Scotch tape around my watercolor paper, or the paper that is in your sketchbook you can use. I've wet my brush, all right, and then I'm just going to use the green. So I have some green in my palette. And I'm just gonna do a light wash over the entire mask. And this is just a wash. So that means using a lot of water and a lot of paint. And you only need to go over this one time. Do not overwork the paint. It really doesn't look good when you overwork it. So try to just go for the natural beauty of watercolor, rather than to treat it like regular paint. So that's just a light wash. Go ahead and do the other side as well. So I'm just going to keep them separate because I've drawn a line in the middle of my mask. And I want to be able to go back in later and then do add more paint, that is. Okay, so that's my first wash. So now I will let that dry. Make sure you're adding water to the paint by using your brush. So you're dipping the brush into the jar of water, okay? You're dipping that brush in and then you're using the brush to gather up the paint. Okay, please do not pour the water into the paints like this, okay? It's very, very messy and it's just not how you do things. All right, so just use your brush, wet your brush, and then go in with your brush, okay? So then you're gonna go through and we're just gonna make the sides a little bit darker. And it actually looks really, really nice if you let that watercolor just kind of go in and look a little bit natural so that it sort of looks like the watercolor. And then you can kind of go back over it if you want to smooth it out a little bit, but it really looks a lot better if it looks like watercolor. Okay, if you make a little boo-boo on the side, you can clean the brush and then just take the clean water and then just kind of get rid of that boo-boo, and then use your napkin to just soak that little boo-boo up, okay? And I'll leave it like that. And then I'm gonna do the side. Actually, I wanna put a little bit more over here. Then I'm gonna do the side of the mask, which is right over in here. And I'll put some up here. Then add a little bit more paint and just kind of make the line there. And then I'll make it a little bit darker just down where the line is. Make that a bit darker, okay? So there we go. All right, so now, all right, so I have a similar painting than the one that's on the table here. And then I'm gonna go through and do some detail. Just make it a little bit darker. I'm gonna pull this down so that we have some lines there. So with this assignment, when you're working with watercolor, it's best to do a wash or do your watercolor paint and then let it sit and dry for a bit, then come back into it and go over it again, so with a little darker shade of paint. And I really kind of want to capture the roundness. Now I'm going to go and then do the rest of the shading on here. It's always better to start out light and then work your way to dark. So start out light and work dark. You can always go back in when it dries, because it dries light. You can always go back in and add more detail later, but if you do too much from the get-go, then you mess it up. It's really sort of hard to go back in and try to fix it. And as you can probably see, the paint looks a little bit uneven, like you can see some dark parts and you can see some light parts. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm trying to give this painting some depth. Hopefully you can see my palette there. Okay, so I'm gonna let that green dry. So I will still go back and work on the mask, but I'm just gonna go and do the string, and I will do a brown color because I think it contrasts really nicely and beautifully with the green. So I'm gonna start really light. I'm gonna add a lot of water and very, very little paint. And then I'm going to build my color. So I have a lot of water here. So the brown looks very, very light. And then I'm going to let that dry and come back later and add more of the details. Okay, normally if you're doing two colors, I did not do that this time, but if you're doing two colors, make sure that you wait for your first color to dry, because now I have some green that's bled into the brown that I really don't like, and then some brown that's bled into the green that I don't like. So you need to take the time and be patient. See, it happened again. That's what happens when you're in a hurry. You can't be in a hurry when you're doing art. You can't just like start this the night before it's due. So that's why I was saying in one of my videos, if you watch that one, I don't even remember which video it was, I say, You know, if an assignment takes 40 minutes to do 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, 10 minutes the day after. 40 minutes in each class every day. Each class you do 40 minutes. In art, it's a little hard, right? So maybe you can do 10 minutes of painting and then do math and then go back to your painting for another 10 minutes and then do English. You know, something like this so that you're allowing for your paint to dry, okay? And also, you know, allowing for your hands to rest because we get a little bit of writer's cramp. Well, drawing cramp. Okay, now I'm gonna let that dry.